දසනකාන්තී චූර්ණය සහිත ලීවර් ආයිෂ් දන්තාලේපය දත්වල ඇති ප්‍රශ්න 10ක් වලකයි.
The topic of fertilizer has been a burning issue in Sri Lanka since last year. Following a decision to transition to 100% organic farming, Sri Lanka lacked a proper plan for production and supply of organic fertilizer at the time. This decision affected thousands of farming lands across the country, reducing crop yields and harvests and alarming a state of food insecurity. With the development of an economic crisis in Sri Lanka earlier this year, the World Food Programme and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations warned that the food crisis in Sri Lanka is likely to worsen due to poor agricultural production and highlighted the immediate provision of agricultural inputs, including fertilizers, which are highly essential to tackle the situation. While the government is taking efforts to import fertilizer to support the farming industry, local research conducted by Sri Lankan experts has led to the production of fertilizer types that are eco-friendly in nature but also helping farmers increase yield by cutting down the usage of chemical application in cultivation. One such product developed is biofilm biofertilizer, a brainchild of the National Institute of Fundamental Studies. Biofilm is now the most technologically advanced biofertilizer applied to a large extent of paddy fields under the government's biofertilizer subsidy program. This fertilizer is also applied to tea plantations, vegetables and maize cultivations.
This was started in early 2000 when one of my students sort of discovered that there's a combination of fungi and bacteria. She found it in a microbial culture plate, and we sort of observed that and we continued research to identify its efficacy. After doing certain fundamental basic research, we found that this can be used for crop production as a biofertilizer. Now, when we say biofertilizer, it's a product which can cut down chemical fertilizer in agriculture. We have developed a certain product called biofilm biofertilizer for paddy cultivation, which is called biofilm R. 1 liter is sufficient for 1 acre. By using this, we can cut down farmers' chemical fertilizer use up to 50%. And at the same time, we can increase the farmers' current yield level of paddy by applying this up to 20 to 30%.
During the 2022 Yala season from May to August, biofilm biofertilizer was supplied to about 80,000 hectares of paddy cultivation in Kurunegala, Gampaha, Galle, Kilinochchi, Vavuniya, Mana and Mullaitivu districts. The National Institute of Fundamental Studies says the government will be able to save millions of dollars spent on fertilizer imports if the capacity of production is enhanced.
We have commercial partner. They are doing all the manufacturing of the product and distribution. By now, their production facility is for about 200,000 acres. Now they are expanding their factories to increase this at least up to 1/3 of the paddy cultivation. Our next target is to completely remove this 50% of chemical fertilizers which is combined with this to produce the crop by using locally produced organic fertilizers. That project has just started now.
The agricultural lands in Sri Lanka amounts to 42% of the country's total land. And all of these require millions of tons of chemical fertilizer. However, with the usage of fertilizer types such as biofilm bio, Sri Lanka will be able to save millions of dollars spent on fertilizer imports while increasing the yield levels and reducing the involvement of chemical fertilizer usage in agriculture. NIF's research on fertilizer is not just limited to the biofertilizer biofilm. Scientists and researchers have also developed a fertilizer type called rhizobium, which specifically targets bean varieties.
To date, we have distributed up to 15,000 acres in the country, and it is distributed via different channels. We have Department of Agriculture and Agriculture Department related provincial agriculture divisions and so on. We want to expand it from 15,000 at least up to 50,000 acres of legume cultivations in the country. Now we are looking for a partner to commercialize this. By using this, what we have done is we have completely cut off the use of urea application. 1 hectare, it's about 500 gram. If we apply urea, it will be about 150 kilograms per hectare.
Other research carried out by the NIFS is also initiated as a response to burning national problems in Sri Lanka. Established in the year 1981, the National Institute of Fundamental Studies is the only institute in Sri Lanka which, by its act, exists for the sole purpose of conducting research in natural and social sciences and philosophy for national development and scientific advancement. Throughout its 40-year period, NIFS has engaged in basic and high-caliber research focusing on different thematic research areas with the aim of becoming a world-renowned center for excellence for research in fundamental studies.
Research is for people's benefit. It's the moral and ethical duty of every academic, every researcher to see that their research findings are disseminated, converted into products or services, or contributing to the improvement of the quality of life of human beings.
The way we contribute is to, for example, when we say generating new knowledge, that knowledge may not be directly impact on the general public, but it need to be further research. For example, it need to be extended to the applied research, where our fundamental research may end up with the scientific process. Then by starting from there, other researchers look at how this process can be applied to develop innovative products. But then we need the industrial collaboration to bring it to a commercializable level.
Research and development is an essential factor for economic growth. However, Sri Lanka is a country with low spending on R&D, which is less than 1% of its gross domestic product. So, how can the country achieve its long-term economic goals? Chamod Fernando for AdaDerana English.